welcome back to my channel. My name is Maggie. Today I've got my March budget recap. So we're going to be going through what I actually spent throughout the month, what my savings rate was, all the different financial goals I have, updating some trackers. I will try to leave some timestamps down below of when the different sections take place. Let me just say, I had an expensive month. I had a lot of things out of my sinking funds, a lot of annual bills that came out, just spent a lot in general. So we're going to talk about it. It's a little painful, a little raw, but that's part of personal finance and budgeting is you've got to go through this review process. All right, so we're going to start with my March paycheck report because then we'll know what my actual amount in for the month was and how it broke down in my budget. So first two items here are my salary for my day job. I am paid twice a month on the 15th and last business day of the month, and I'm a month ahead. So these two checks for March were actually paid to me in February. I saved them and then I use them for the first of the month going on. It works really well for me that way. I previously had a job where I was paid once a month just on that last business day. So I was kind of forced into budgeting like that. And then I switched to where I'm paid twice a month, but I still just really enjoy having all of the money for the month in my account on the first, and I, put it into my different funds and I'm done. It just, for my brain, helps quite a bit. But on top of that, I did make some additional money. So let's talk through that. Capital One interest. This is from my sinking funds. They're in Capital One high yield savings accounts. Really happy with that. So $1.82, better than nothing. Discover cash back, $42.68. So I use my Discover credit card. It's a cashback card. I get 1% on everything, but there's certain categories during the year that are 5%. So the first quarter of the year was groceries. So when I went to the grocery store, I used this card, got $42.68 back, which is great. And then I got $100 from my dad. I wasn't really expecting this. He now is using the subscription plans that I have for like Netflix and Paramount, Peacock, like all the TV streaming services. We upped the plan so that it was a family plan and he could be on that with me. So he gave me $100 just to help kind of cover those costs for the year, which was really nice. Didn't ask him to, but he just did that. So that was great. Betterment made $2.06 back in dividends. My boyfriend, so we do split some costs together, such as groceries and household spending, like, for trash bags and candles and whatever else. And then also on top of this, he really doesn't shop online. So if he needs to order something or wants something, I do the majority of that for him and then he just pays me back. So expensive month, $932.70. He got a lot of stuff and there's some other things I have to talk about as I go through the budget. And then Capital One cashback, $56.61. This is what I use for my normal card when I'm not using Discover in that one like niche category. And had some big bills hit that credit card this month. So that was nice to get a little bit back. Total income for the month, $5,517.67. So 79.41% of that is active. I wrote these wrong. And 20.59% is passive income. Now, I consider things passive income when I don't have to exchange a certain amount of like energy or time to get the money. So most of these were passive sources for me this month. Okay, let's talk about the budget. This is where it gets painful. So we're just going to rip the Band-Aid off and do it together. So here is the budgeted, my actual, and the percentage column. So looking here in the expense section first, everything with a check mark means that it was exactly the same. Most of these are bills that I know what the due is going to be before I set my budget. So yeah, all good there. Groceries. Okay, so anything in parentheses is kind of where my boyfriend's money gets drawn out here. So I budgeted $450, spent over $1,000, so that happened. Here's the excuse. So once a quarter, we get a bulk, about once a quarter, we get a bulk purchase of alcohol for the house. We both like to drink alcohol. So particularly we like wine, and with that we love champagne. So I was in the city for a week. If you don't know, I live in northern Minnesota, but I go back down to the city like once a month or once every other month to see friends and stuff. And when I'm there, I usually will get a big thing of, like a case of champagne or whatever. So that played into it. Spent like $400 on booze to last us like 4 to 6 months for like, you know, the normal booze and then champagne, like a quarter. But anyway, all that to say, we both agreed. I texted him when I was there. I was like, should I do it? And he was, yeah, we'll just split it. So we did that. And then also groceries on top of that. So yeah, just very expensive month. I thought about pulling that alcohol out as like a cash flow, but I've always included any alcohol purchases in the grocery line. So I'm just going to keep it consistent. But that one hurt, seeing that total number this month. Gas up a bit. So, and he paid me $30. He actually used my car for a work trip to get to the airport twice this month. We just kind of rotated a vehicle. So yeah, he gets to expense the mileage. So I just kind of charge him for that gas because his company ends up paying for it. And then spending, the total was $602.91. $76 came from him. So this included some flip-flops and something else. I can't remember right now, but something else. Oh, some toiletries, I think. So yeah, that was his portion there. So all in all, my expense section, even though this like one really hit me, it's 63.75%. So, you know, not terrible. Could have definitely done better, but it is what it is. Moving down into funds. So this is really just what I'm putting into the funds. We'll talk about what I actually spent out of them next. So most of these are up just a few cents per usual with the high yield savings account earning a little bit of interest. Home, really over budget. Again, being in the city is a little bit of a trigger for me. Like Target's right there, Walmart's right there, like all of these shopping options and opportunities that I normally don't have. So we did use that opportunity to pick up some stuff for the home, and you know, the local hardware store was in the list of errands this month. So just a lot of things for the home, new batteries and cables and stuff like that. So it is what it is. And then my emergency fund down just a little bit because I had to make up for some of these expenses, but still 13.92% went to my emergency fund, which is my priority right now, is building that emergency fund. So overall for funds, 33.95%, and then investing down here just up a little bit from some dividends that I earned, 2.3% of my total take home, you know, monthly income. So yeah, not my favorite month, but you know, it is what it is. Let's move on to sinking fund update next. Okay, so here are the sinking funds that I'm kind of sharing with you this year. We'll talk through each of them. So the first one is annual. It is down overall. This is the balance that I have, you know, at the beginning of the month here. So what came out of annual? So previously like was over $1,000. I had two big expenses this month. So first one is my home warranty. I do own a townhome. I really like the warranty program I have. It connects me with all of the different vendors very easily, and it covers most of the things. I've been able to get a lot of different replacements for my appliances. Also, my furnace is 35 years old now, so that's on borrowed time if you live in Minnesota. So I'm keeping this up because they will, whenever my furnace goes out, which I know I'm on borrowed time, my home warranty covers that in full. So right now it's still cheaper for me to do the home warranty, even after all these years, than replacing a furnace out of pocket. So anyway, that's that. So that came out once a year. It's like $730 for the whole year, something like that. And then I had to pay in some taxes, which I kind of figured that and planned for that. So it wasn't a surprise, but again, still came out of that annual sinking fund. Next is Miko. That's my cat. He has $0 right now. We had his annual vet visit where they did want to swab his ears because they were pretty dirty. Thankfully, nothing came back as like being infected or like no worms in there or whatever else can happen in cat ears. But that made the bill a little bit higher than what I was expecting, but that's okay. And then I also picked up a case of wet food. I don't know if you guys have pets, but it's been very difficult for me to find cat food, especially wet food. Thankfully, he eats dry food, you know, majority of the time. He does get wet food. He gets one can on the weekend, so like half on Saturday, half on Sunday. So I've been struggling to find it, and he's very particular, unfortunately, where like I've tried other brands and he'll throw them up. So I did find a 24 case of his favorite cat food when I was in the city. So I bought one of those that'll last me, you know, half the year. So that is also what came out of his account. Vacation down a little bit. When I was in Minneapolis, I did pull from my vacation fund when I went out to eat with friends, when I did anything kind of special during that period of time. So that, still have a healthy balance in there, but it's just down from what it was last month. Beauty, down a little bit from last month as well. I had some miscellaneous refills that I needed to get for, my skincare routine and makeup and all of that. Gifts and opportunity are both up, and I actually didn't spend anything out of those this month. And then home down again. Homeware, candles, kitchen things like aluminum foil. And I needed, my ice cube tray broke, so I had to get another one of those, and a muffin tin, and just like random stuff, you guys. And also some over-the-counter meds. My boyfriend started to get a little bit of a cold, so we've been running through some of like our Dayquil, and I just wanted to make sure we had some more on hand. So, it is what it is. That's why you have sinking funds, in my opinion, is to help with those kind of things that just come up naturally. So being that most of these are down this month is okay with me. It definitely is going to impact my savings rate, which we are going to calculate next. So I do calculate my savings rate 2 different ways. One including my mortgage principal, one without including my mortgage principal, just because there's different schools of thoughts. So let's talk through the numbers that are going to be in my calculation here. So the first one is the change in funds, which is basically the change of account balances. So I total all of my accounts at the end of every month, and then I look at what the change is. So I did March total minus February total at the end of each month. And I'm under this month. So I'm negative 585.73, which means across all of my accounts, this is how much less I have. Usually this is a positive number, but again, having all of those sinking funds, those annual expenses coming out in March, it just, it is what it is. So that doesn't happen to me very often, but, I can understand why it happened this month. Next, I've got investing. So these are the different investment accounts I have. I have a column for what I contributed and what I earned. It is dividend season, so I did earn some nice dividends in these different investment accounts. Overall, I have a total of $625.29 for the month in investments. Then my mortgage principal, again, this is the variable that is going to be included in one formula but not the other. $360.25 is what I paid actually to lower my balance. And then lastly, we have the total income, which is different. So here's that take-home income that we've already looked at. But my 401k and HSA come out of my paycheck, so before it's deposited in my bank. So it's not included in that take-home pay. And since I included it as a saving and an investment up here, I've got to include it in the total income as well. So when I add those back in, I'm at $6,015.90. So here are the 2 formulas. We're going to do a little bit of math here. Let me just grab my phone. Okay, so we're going to do a negative 585.73 plus 625.29. And that is going to give me $39.56. Hey, at least it's not negative. I'm going to divide that by my total income, $60.15.90, and multiply by 100 to get a percentage. So 0.65%. Still a positive number though. We're going to take it. Okay, so then with the mortgage, we're going to do this again, negative 585.73 plus 625.29 plus 360.25. That's the mortgage piece. So that gives me 399.81 divided by 60.15.90 times 100, 6.64%. So definitely a lot lower this month than what I've been doing in the past. These aren't what I would hope they'd be. I've had other months that are much higher, but I'm very happy that they're positive numbers. I don't have a negative savings rate this month, even though I had so many of those big expenses coming out. Okay, so here is my overview sheet. We're just going to quickly look at the top half here. So we've already gone through the income, the different percentages of my budget breakdown, my savings rate here. Now we have the emergency fund. So again, that is my primary goal. I'm at 75.66%, and in a moment we're going to fill in the tracker for that. Additionally, my net worth, I do calculate my net worth every month, and I share with you what the month over month change is. So this month I did have a lower net worth than the previous month. It was lower by 0.18%. So pretty much the same, just a little bit of fluctuation there. And then my mortgage balance, $144,603.93. I am working on, slowly paying this off. I make one extra payment a year. So, I am paying extra towards it, but I'm not really aggressive with my goals right now. So 9.62% of my total mortgage balance is paid off. My original balance was $160,000, and I own 27.69% of my house, and I just use the purchasing price to calculate that. Okay, let's do some trackers, and then we'll come back and do the reflections and goals. So here is my emergency fund savings tracker. I have already kind of marked where I'm going to be coloring today. So last month I was at 69.51%. Now I'm at 75.66%. So I have about 5% that I get to color in, not as high as I was hoping, but still certainly progress. So I'm going to quickly color in this circle with a little sliver on either side of these bubbles. And then we will go into the next tracker after that. Okay, so that is the update. Feeling pretty good getting this far. Just a few more circles to color in. Okay, next we have my retirement contribution tracker. So one of the goals I have for the year is to save 15% of my gross salary towards retirement. And this is where I'm tracking it. So for March, I put in, here everything that I put towards my retirement, the different numbers. So in total, I saved $587.50. So I have so far this year saved $1,762.50, and my goal, I have $9,487.50 to go, which once I finish my emergency fund, I'll be able to shovel more money towards my retirement goals. So at the bottom, I also have a tracker that I'm going to quickly color in here to update the progress that I've made. Okay, so that's where we're at. And the last tracker I have is my amortization schedule. So this is for my mortgage. And what I do, because I am paying one extra payment a year, I do break that between the months. So I take the one payment, divide by 12. And I like to keep track of what I'm actually paying in interest and principal and what my balance is versus what I was scheduled to pay if I wasn't making any sort of extras. So the printed text is where I should be, but the written out text is where I actually am. So I should have paid $480 in interest this month. I paid $468.11. I should have only paid $273 towards the actual principal balance, but I paid $360.52, which is great. And then the balance difference here, 148, 331 versus 144, 603, 93. So what I'm going to do is grab my marker, and I like to highlight off as I surpass different balances. So my current balance is 144, 603, and that is definitely lower than 144, 707. So I can highlight this. And 144,603 is not quite here, so it's not quite the 422. So I can only highlight one line this week or this month. Sometimes I'm able to highlight more than one line though. So that is now updated. Feels good to cross those off. And I'm now, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13 months ahead of my mortgage, which feels really, really great. Okay, let's talk about some reflections for March. So I do always do pros and cons. So some positives, I had sinking funds ready for those big bills. That's a huge win to not have, over $1,000 that came out of the annual fund have to hit my actual budget. So that's really great. Also, I feel like I got all the shopping out of my system. It was very exciting to go to Target and all these places, and I feel like I got it out of my system. And I still have a positive savings rate. It might not be very high, but it is still positive. Some cons though, lots of spending, big bills came out and over budget quite a bit. So, you know, it is what it is. My March goals were to send an extra $50 to my emergency fund. I did not reach that goal. I wanted my emergency fund to be at 80%. I did not reach that goal. I was hoping my expenses would be 62% of my total income. I came in at 63.75. So I didn't meet that 62, but I wasn't like, you know, astronomically over. I also wanted to stay within my grocery budget, which is honestly just a joke, seeing that I was at $450 and I was over $1,000. But I did look at my quarterly review of my annual goals. I will be doing a video for that on YouTube to share what my progress has been towards my annual goals in the first quarter. I calculated like percentage wise, so I could tell you like how close I am to finishing certain goals. So that was a nice review. Let's talk about goals for April. So I have 5 set up here. My first one is save an extra $100 towards my emergency fund. I do think I'll be able to do that. I should be getting a YouTube check in the month of April, so I can put, you know, I'll put stuff aside for taxes, but then I should be able to put the rest of it towards my emergency fund. I'd love to reach 85% in my emergency fund, so that's about a 10% increase. So we'll see if we can do that. I also want to try to keep that expenses below 62%. That's the magic number I'm shooting for again. I also want to increase my 401k contribution. So starting in April, I will be getting a raise that'll be on my paychecks. So in my actual take home, I won't experience it until May because I'm a month ahead, but I will have that come through. So I'd like to increase my 401k contributions so that I'm saving more towards retirement. And I also would like to have a double-digit savings rate. So, you know, 10, 11, 12 in both the mortgage and without the mortgage category. So this one might be a little bit of a stretch. We'll have to see how the month goes. But those are going to be my 5 goals for April. So that is it for me. I will post my budget video up here in the cards and down below if you want to see what my plan for April is. And then you'll have to come back at the beginning of May to see how I actually did in April. But let me know down below how you're doing with your goals. How was March? Was it an expensive month for you as well, like it was for me? Let me know in the comment section below. But I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.